And we're back, lads.
And we are back.
We are back. Tank, why were you late for the podcast today, mate?
Look, I've still got bathwater on my head.
Mate,
I was in the bath singing Jerry Cinnamon, and then I looked at my phone and I was just about to change the song, and I was like, yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, but you were the one that said. Lads, do you know what was weird? So we didn't do a podcast last week, and I don't want to say it out loud, but I nearly missed probably chatting to the two of you. It felt weird not doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's been a bit weird. The WhatsApp group was quiet because Jimmy gets depressed when we don't have podcasts.
Yeah,
are you all right, Jim?
In the corner, just rocking like a kid because I have no one to take the piss out of.
Well, we're back together. Lads, I have to start. I actually feel sick. Still feel sick. So our Josh had a game yesterday, right? And they've had an unbelievable season. Top of the league going into the last game of the season. And they were playing against a team who also are a brilliant team. Like the two of them, two good teams. They were playing against each other last game of the season. We beat them at their place 3-0. And they came to our place and they had to beat us to win the league. We only needed to draw, and the lads got beat 3-1.
Oh, shit.
Lads, it's like football is so cruel. And it was just the way the game started. We started really well. With the keeper made 3-4 unbelievable saves. Then they got one goal on the break, and then we wobbed. You know what kids' football's like?
Yeah.
You could see that it bothered them. Then we got back to 1-1, and we were on top. And then they caught us with another break, and then we had to go up loads up front, and they caught us with a last-minute winner because we obviously were going to try and get the equalizer. And so Josh was obviously devastated, and you're seeing your kid crying, all that, and sobbing. And you know what was the worst thing about it? I went up to check on him later on. He was having his shower. I popped my head in, and he was crying in the shower, lads. He was still crying in the shower about the game. And I'm not over it, lads. I have this feeling in my stomach for them. You know what I mean? Horrible.
There's nothing you can do, is there? Nothing.
No. And it's funny. I was kind of explaining to him and some of the lads. I was like, look, funnily enough, they actually play the same team again next week in the cup final. So I was like, lads, I still think about games that I lost when I was younger. They don't go away. I said, but you've got the perfect scenario in the next week. You get to play it again. So all these feelings that you have, just go for it. But I tell you what, lads, that was an absolute killer. Any advice for me, please? Because I'm on the cliff edge here.
Nah, don't turn up.
Yeah. So I took our Jack's kids team, mate, and we played in the league up in where I live, and it was too nice. They used to beat everyone really easy. So obviously I'm from Bootle in Liverpool, which is a bit of a rough area to say the least. So, but our kids were a little bit soft, so I put them in the league down in Bootle, and it was a proper eye opener for them. But you know what? They were brilliant. The first season we come third in the league, and they got kicked from pillar to post because they played nice football. Then the second season, we won the league the second season, and we got beaten the final in the cup. And I still think about it. It's it was devastating. It's still but it's all
nice to know that my pain is never going to leave me. Tank. That makes it
doesn't, mate. Unfortunately, I still think about. I mean, our Jack that team was about 10, maybe 10, 11, maybe just round about Josh's age.
Yeah.
And you still don't forget about it. I still remember the game at it's nightmare. We got beat 3-2. And it's one of them where we played the team off the park because our kids just used to pop it round and pass and move. That's all we used to do. And they were just long. And I don't like that team, I'm being honest with you. I know they're only under 11, but I don't like them because they long and we were playing them.
Yeah, you still hate
Sam
them to
Allardyce
this day.
and it wasn't nice.
So this week is going to be a tough week. And it's like you'll both know we've all played. It was like there was a death in the house. And even this morning I was taking him to school and he hadn't spoke to me in the car, dropped his sister off, and I was like, "Do you want to talk about it now?" And then he's gone. It's like the stages of what is it? Grief.
12
he's
stages.
now angry. He's angry, and he's like,
up.
Yeah, he's fuming, and he was like, "Rrr," and then he usually we do a little high five thing before he goes to school. He got out the car and just give me the nod. He was like, just walked off fuming. Oh God. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about some other stuff. Something else that'll make me feel more cheery. The King's coronation. I believe, lads, it's bank holiday in England, Jim. You were just telling me.
Yeah,
Is there
bank
anything
holiday
special?
today, lad.
Anything special planned for the King's
I think
coronation?
we live in a little village, and we've got little villages all around us. So on Saturday we had
We've got the fucking idiot on the podcast.
yeah.
You've got a big bowl and a load of keys, Jim. Is that what's about
pretty
to
much.
happen?
No one wants mine as well. It's just everyone's trying to avoid my keys. But on Saturday they had a village party on our green up at there, and it was a washout. But to be fair, there's a few families up there, and we ended up getting a game of footy going, and the lads played footy for about 2 hours, like absolutely.
Dads and lads.
Through. A couple of the dads joined in, yeah. I had to, and then two of the older lads came down, brought their boots, like these kids about 30, 14. Arch megged one of them.
Oh yes,
absolutely rinsed them. So that was good. I had to show a few skills off to the older lads. And then yesterday was the village that way. It was their coronation party on the green, and it was sunny, so it was a lot better. They had bands, bouncy castles. It was really nice, actually. Really, not so much. I mean, for the occasion, just like seeing villages come together and like a community come together. Old school, everyone on the green. Picnic blankets, gazebos, beers. So yeah, it was good. And there's nothing on today, man. Nothing. I don't think it's a washout. Absolutely pissing it down.
What about you, Tank? Because when we've spoken in the past, you were a fan of the old.
Loved Queen, didn't he?
Loved the Queen, didn't you? Where do you sit on? Because it's a bit of a divisive topic. Yeah, I couldn't stop looking at his fingers.
What are his fingers? My missus
Tank thinks we mean his fingers here.
No.
Would you mean the King's fingers, Tank?
I missed what you said there, lads, because it just all froze.
Oh, we did look confused. No,
that's just his usual look.
I can hear you. Yeah, it just after Jimmy said about the thing, and you said what's Tank yours, it went off. So
yeah, we were just asking. You were a fan of the Queen. What's your view on the whole coronation stuff? Did you watch much of it?
I was a fan of the Queen. I liked it because I just liked the thought of this little old girl sitting in that massive. But as the royal, I see a lot of comments about Liverpool fans booing the national anthem and that, but let's put things into perspective, lads. Not one person in this country's got anything remotely relative to the royal family. There's kids have fucking food banks. People can't pay gas bills. People can't pay. People can't live. People are fighting to live a normal life and put food on the table. And we're spending 200-300 million to put some crown on a strap on, while his brothers, bugging
allegedly,
kids left, right, and centre. So the whole thing about the royal family, now the Queen's gone for me. I don't really give two fucks about them. Don't get me wrong, I like to go to London and look at Buckingham Palace. That's about it. But if that wasn't a castle or whatever it is, I'd be going to look and like that. That's amazing. If a big fashion designer, you'd go and have a look. So I just don't see the relevance of them when the country's on its arse and we're spending hundreds of millions to see a crown get put on some weirdo and the fucking camel on his arm.
Yeah, it's a camel. Jim, it's a weird one, right? Because I'm certainly not a royal, right? Each to their own. They mean different things to different people. I'm with Tank though. It just feels completely tone deaf for me. I think that's my issue in that when I think I seen a stat or heard something the other day that the most robbed items at the moment are babies' nappies. Like, how are we in that type of situation that things are that bad that people can't afford to get their babies nappies? And then we're watching this overt. It didn't sit right with me. I watched a little bit of it, and I'm a bit of a weirdo. I like to watch stuff that I know is going to annoy me because I like to get annoyed. So I was just tuned in to get annoyed, basically. Seeing all the gold.
That's like me with Jimmy on the podcast.
And I'm watching all this gold everywhere, and just everything was all unnecessary. And you sat there thinking, like Tank said, people can't heat the houses, and people are having to make choices whether to eat or heat the home. It just did not sit well with me at all, Jim.
It's a difficult one for me because if you look at it as a business point of view, if I spend 100 quid but I'm making 250 quid back, that's good business sense to me. So from a business point of view, if they spent 100 million
thinking
on
tourism here?
Yeah, and the way that London's been absolutely jam-packed, tourism, they're going to make that money back, and it's not right. The issues you've got are not with the royal family, but with the government. The government are the ones that are, royals have no say on how this country is run. They're just the spearhead of it, and are getting paid for it. That's their job, basically, in being the front of this. It doesn't mean it's right, and doesn't mean that I like it, but that's their job. So they can't dictate anything that goes on in this country. Whereas the government, they're the ones that are, dictating, taxes, laws, all that sort of stuff, where food banks are now needed. So it's not ideal, and I don't want to see people being paraded. The thing that gets annoying with me is I see Charlie getting coronated and all that, and he looks miserable as shit. Like he's fuming in his little gold carriage, isn't he? At one point, like probably someone's walked.
You know what it is? He's had a Barney with his missus, because I don't know if you're like me. Whenever you've got an event to go to, if you've got to go to a wedding or something, someone's late, you have an argument, and then you have to like pretend you like each other for the first 20 minutes, and then you get on it in the end. Then,
what sort of face would you have if? Picture this: you're in your castle. You're in your massive bed and you're asleep and you're having a wonderful dream, and then you just turn around like that and you see Camilla lying there and you go, what the fuck is that? So you're not going to have a good face, mate, are you? When you've got an absolute manhead who's got a big willy next to you in bed.
Camilla
and then
wakes
your brother
up
Andrew, who's trying to find allegedly girls down the corridor.
Jesus, we've nearly avoided Andrew twice there. He keeps coming back to him.
Camilla wakes up to Charlie and goes, "Give us them sausage fingers, lad." And then, but yeah, it's not great. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a hater of the royal families. Like you say, I could take them or leave them, but I've not seen any of it. I'm not really that bothered. But from a business point of view, I can understand the money being spent, because you'll easily make that back with the tourism, with how many people have gone to London and the money they've spent and tourism, all that. So it's a government that we should all be taking umbrage with, because they're all bellends.
Started in the government.
So, Tank, I'm going to bring it towards the football, right? Kind of similar point, though. I have an issue with the anthem stuff, and obviously particularly the Liverpool side of things, because everybody can celebrate, do whatever they want in relation to the royal family. I just don't understand the thirst for the league to make it mandatory to bring the national anthem into what. Why does it need to be linked to football? What's football got to do with it? It was all Liverpool fans were always going to boo that. Fundamentally, as a city, we are against everything that the royal family stands for. You only have to listen to some of the songs. Fuck the royal family, feed the poor. That people are struggling. It's a socialist city, and they want to be able to help each other out. So the idea, and just getting into all the government side of things, that Liverpool are fundamentally against those figureheads of power, and this idea that they can dictate, that they can come play the anthem. You've also got England fans that basically slag Scousers at every opportunity, call us bin dippers, and then all of a sudden you want us to stand up and feel part of being English. It's just not going to work ever. So why put them in that situation? It just makes no sense.
It was never going to work, because you've got to put things in perspective. What the zero, the average man and woman in this country has got zero in common with the royal family, apart from that we pay them, and you pay them heavily. And and this is the issue. You spend millions and hundreds of millions to celebrate them, and for me, there's nothing to be celebrated about them. They don't bring anything. If they had any backbone, and let's get it right, I'm not going to go on a Tory fucking rant. If they had any backbone, they'd have pulled the government in and just said, this is the most fucked up this country's ever been, probably in the last 100 years, by the way. Yeah. You're fucked. We're decimating your, you need to form a new government or go to an elect. They have the power to do that, but they just sat there in the fucking the ivory towers and just doing, this is great. No matter what happens in this country, the royal family get funded. And I just think, it was a bizarre situation, but I don't understand. Like, I see comments on Twitter where, like, it's disrespectful to boo them.
You had a pop at Piers Morgan, didn't you?
Yeah, because he's an absolute strapper.
Is it anyone to have a pop at? It's him, mate.
He's a nugget. I'm not being funny. He was hacking into dead people's phones. So whatever Piers Morgan's got, he's the scum of the earth. He's the piece of shit on your shoe, him. So his stuff he needs to get back in his box, him, and go and finger Ronaldo. It's just an absolute mental fucking man, him.
Tank is very giddy after his baths. Have you noticed it?
He's a little
Heat going, the
refreshed.
heat
And
rises,
he's still
you know,
sweating
comes
though.
out.
Look at him. He's absolutely
No,
sweating.
that's nice. That's hemp, that. It's the great. Listen, I've never had a spot in my life, lads, and it's bath water. Just wash your face. And there's something called hemp. It's made out of cannabis thing, and it's the body butter. Don't get the hemp face cream. Get the hemp body butter. Lad, it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. 46, not a fucking mark on my face.
Tell you what, life lessons with Tank. Hemp body butter and Piers Morgan.
Swill your own shit in your face.
Race for top 4, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Jamie.
Hey, come on. Look.
No, come on.
I'll caveat this by saying I don't think Liverpool will make top 4. So just to put that in there, right? They've left themselves too much to do. But Jim, there's one topic that I want to come to, right? Have you noticed? So Man United have lost a couple of games now, not in good form. Gary Neville has reared his little head, and all of us, you know where I'm going with this one, Tank. I can see it in your eyes. All of a sudden, it's the Glazers' fault again. Yeah. Now that Man United have lost a couple of games, and all of a sudden he's asking for more money, more money, more money. Carragher said it well last night. He was like, "Well, hold on, Glazers. It wasn't the Glazers who spent 90 million. Well, it was their money, but 90 million on Anthony." Playing Weghorst as a 10, like you can't just like make the two topics of Eric Ten Hag and Man United's performances totally separate and always look to blame the Glazers as soon as something goes wrong. It feels a bit, it's a broken record now. No,
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because that's their pain, isn't it? That's every Man United fan's pain, just as this FSG is Liverpool fans' pain because they don't spend any money. The issue that you've got is now with the Glazers, all right, we can talk around them saddling the club with debt and they haven't updated the stadium and or the training ground or anything along them lines. They've just been taking their money. It's just been take. Yeah, of course you've spent money because it's the largest global sports team in the world, so they're going to be able to spend money, but it's the money that is lying in wait within the club that has been taken out by all of them. Now what you've got is they're going through this farcical sale process that's surely going to be lingering around the club. What's happening, who's going to what? We've all worked in places. If anything's happening from the up down, it can have a negative effect on the playing pitch. And, United have, since this sale process has begun, have seemingly, started to fall by the wayside since this process has happened. It was going to be a full sale, and now it was a percentage sale, and it was now being muted as a potential ploy to drive the price of the club up so they can get more for it at a later date. So I can understand what he's saying in the fact that if someone owns a club, what they do impacts the running of the club. But I don't know what's happened to them. It's just absolutely gone. And Tank obviously called it when he said, and I'm going back to Rashford going, is he still, did he turn a corner or did he just have a really, really purple patch? Because I've always thought he was a waste of potential, Rashford. And I did change my mind. But again, since he's had that injury, he's fallen off a bit and United are now struggling. I just think Ten Hag needs a good couple of years before he can start putting, a real good stamp on it. Because although they've bought players, we've still got a lot of players left over that were there for however many years. So, yeah, it's 1 minute it's roller coaster of Premier League football, isn't it? 1 minute they're up, the next minute it's down. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does. I think they're going to have to get rid of a few players.
Go on, Tank.
He's a shit manager.
Not giving him any credit, no?
Why are we giving him credit? Lads, just on a serious note, why are we giving me credit? For one decision, and this is the only thing that I agree with that Piers Morgan, you swap Ronaldo for Weghorst, you need sacking instantly. And by the way, they paid a lot of money to get him out of his loan deal. They paid a lot of money for him. This wasn't just a fucking like a free. They paid about 5 or 6 million euros to get him out of his loan deal and put him on fucking a big contract. You get rid of Ronaldo, who would have scored 20 goals in all competitions this season because that's what he does. You get rid of him for Weghorst, you need fucking... Casemiro has been a fucking flop. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I don't care if anyone. I think it was Ali McCoy saying that he should be player of the year. Why? Because he had a good month.
Oh, I saw that on TalkSport. The disrespect that Rodri gets, by the way, the disrespect that Rodri gets when talking about, he's unbelievable. Rodri is class, absolutely class. Big unit, always delivers.
Has gone missing in every time Man United need him. He's played. He had a phenomenal month. Don't get me wrong, he was good in that month. You can't have one good month and then be this fucking held as the greatest thing. He was signed for 70 million, 5-year contract on about 400 grand a week. You know, next season when he's on more decline, the season after, good luck getting rid of him. Good luck getting rid of him. Man United fans, and I know a few Man United fans, and we'll get a lot of stick for this, and they're the most entitled fan base I have ever come across in my fucking life. I've seen some comments on David De Gea last night saying, get him out the club is a disgrace. He's kept them in the fucking games. 5 or 6 games prior. The saves he makes was unbelievable. He slipped and let one in.
Mate, I was going to say that because I was going to say, did anyone else notice he slipped? Like,
his
boot doesn't get any traction, does it?
No. But then let's go back to Ten Hag again. The left back he signed, he's fucking shit. He's shit. Paid a lot of money for him. The little dwarf he's had a good few months. He'll do fuck all next season. The lad he got on loan from Leipzig or Bayern Munich, done fuck all. The fidget spinner, the worst signing of the fucking season. Sancho, a good manager, gets the best out of Sancho. Shit. Tell me a sign on what's been outstanding what he's signed, because I'm yet to fucking see any. I'm yet to see any. And I'm yet to see.
Martinez is a bit harsh, like he's injured at the minute. He's been him and Varane were very decent together.
I have to give him. But if we're talking about development here, it's not just based on signings. You have to give them a bit of credit. No, they're back winning trophies, competing for trophies, getting top 4. Like you know as well as I do. Look, I'm certainly not a Man United fan, but it's building blocks. No, they were out of the conversation for a long time, very inconsistent, and now they've got trophies on the board. I think they'll get beat to City. I think City are far the superior side in the FA Cup final. But United had we're challenging for 2 trophies. They're back. They will get top 4 if that's my opinion. All things considered, that's a good season. No, in terms of building blocks. You don't think?
No, I've said to you all along from the day one in this podcast, Man United and other clubs like your Newcastle are benefiting from a severe drop-off in Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham. Them 3 will come again. A good manager to get hold of that Chelsea squad, and they're a problem next season. A good manager will get rid of a lot of the dead, will get a core of that. They have got some of the best young up-and-coming talent in Europe in that Chelsea squad. Tottenham will come, a good manager will come and get hold of them, and Tottenham will sign some players, and Tottenham will be pushing for top 4 again. Liverpool, without a shadow of a doubt, will be pushing next season. Have they got enough to challenge Manchester City? No, in my opinion. But Liverpool will be the second best club again in the league next season with some shrewd signings. Manchester United, lads, I know we're talking about Manchester United here. Net spend is over 1.1 billion in the last 6 years. So we're talking about Ten Hag and building blocks. He spent fucking 300 million. What sort of block? It's not as if we're asking him to build a fucking house out of straw. He's had the key, everything what he's asked for, he's got. I'm not having him. I'm sorry.
It's highly likely, though, that Harry Kane's going to United from Tottenham, and that obviously puts a massive dent.
Would you go to?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm not Harry Kane. It's his decision, but it seems probable, highly likely. I say highly. The percentage is more in the favour that he's going to Man United by the looks of things.
I don't doubt it, and it's the most Manchester United signing in the world again, isn't it? 30-year-old or 31. Certainly his best years are behind him. You've got to say that. And they'll spend 100 million of them, give him a 5-year deal, and they'll be stuck in the same situation. He won't spend 100
million, will they? Because he's in his last year of his contract, so he won't spend 100 million.
You think Levy's going to let him go?
He's got a choice, hasn't he? Levy's either leaves into and gets nothing, or gets 50, 60 million.
Yeah, but he's the type of chairman who'll just say, we'll
I don't think he would. I don't think he'll let him go for nothing.
It's funny. I do like, the football man in me. I can see why Kane would obviously go to United. He wants to get the Premier League record. I think he's got more chance of winning silverware there. So that's a monkey off it. I think the 2 things at play for Kane now is Premier League record and get the silverware monkey off his back, because everyone's like, why is he not wanting to win silverware? Questioning his character. I think United will because they'll always spend, Tank. You know that they'll always just throw money at it. And I know what you're saying. Sometimes it's like they lack a little bit of strategy, because it's kind of like the football manager or the championship manager version of transfers. It's like, let's just go and buy the best player at this particular moment, irrespective of age. So I understand what you mean. It's just a dead obvious signing to go and get Kane. It's a dead obvious signing to go and get Casemiro. A lot of people would be out of the conversation because they don't have the money, or probably would be reluctant to buy a player of that age on those wages. We've seen United like to give away big wages. So I understand what you're saying. I think for me, though, I don't think United are as good as what people like to make out. I do think there is some element in the drop-off conversation. But the one thing that United will always have is they have the ability to go again, and go again. And if they recruit right, I still think they'll be in the conversation. With Ten Hag, Jim, have you seen enough to think that he's got something? Or do you think the questions that Tank has are justified?
I think both. I think you're both right. I think there's questions to be asked around some justification of signings. Yeah, I think Tank's right on Milicia. My feelings on Anthony. I think he has potential, but whether he can fulfil that is another question. But yeah, and United have been bad for a number of years, and they've won a trophy, and a month ago they were fighting for a quadruple. So we all know what happened.
Things change fast in football.
Well, exactly, and it was the same for Liverpool, wasn't it? You were absolutely flying, going for a quadruple, and fighting on all fronts takes it out of you. And we know they spent money, but they've spent it very badly, and their squad's not as deep as it should be. So yeah, I think there's enough there, and if he recruits, I think someone like Harry Kane transforms that. Rashford and Kane together with another Anthony, Jadon Sancho on the right, I think just gives a little bit more emphasis on that player, because at the minute there's no number 10, no number 9. Rashford's sort of in between. I think it really gives them a spearhead to go and win things, and well, not win things, but really put a style of play together that allows them to at least be in the question.
Right, so a few topics I want to rattle through, right? Tank, I want to come to you on this one. So, talking of the race for top 4, Trent in midfield. Now, Liverpool have obviously 6 wins on the trot, I would say, with my Liverpool goggles on. Look, smelly 1-0s are something that Liverpool haven't been able to do for a long time, so I'll actually take them all day, to be honest. I don't think we've been earth-shatteringly good, but I think that there's been a tweak in Liverpool's system that now allows me to see what the plan is moving forward. So it's not even about this season. It's about where is this team heading as we kick on into next. And I can see building blocks in place now where I'm like, aye, a couple of good signings here, and we wouldn't be a million miles away from, as I agree with you. I think the gap is quite big now between us and City, but I think we should be aiming to be best of the rest next season, and I certainly think we could do that. The big one for me has been this, and I've always been against it. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, this idea of Trent moving into midfield. And let's caveat this by saying he's not playing in midfield. He's still playing right back, but during the build-up, he then becomes a double pivot, a double 6. And in possession, he's been an absolute joy to watch. What do you think of the change? And do you think this is something that will stick around? Or do you want it to stick around?
I've got a few opinions on that, because one is an opinion of frustration that it's took the manager like 9 games of the season to find a solution to being shit all season. So I think that not making the top 4 has to be solely squared on Klopp's shoulders, because
you think he hung Trent out to dry for a long time, didn't you?
He asked him. And then my other opinion is if this is the way we're going to go next season, we've got zero chance of being in the top 4, because top sides will fucking decimate Liverpool on the left-hand side. Their left-hand side, Liverpool's right, with the gaps what they're leaving, because you just can't do that in modern-day football. Most teams, top sides, play with a 3-pronged umpty, 2 wide, 1 central. Most teams do. So when you're coming up to against your Real Madrid and players like that, these world-class players will absolutely decimate you by giving them the free space. So Trent has always been a centre midfield player. I've seen him since he was a kid, and he was the most outstanding talent, quoted from like the people who were speaking to Liverpool's academy, that they've seen since Steven Gerrard as a central midfielder. There was no pathway at the time for him to get in, so we went to right back. So if you want to use him in that position, which he's fucking outstanding, by the way, play him in midfield. Go and sign a right back. Instead of looking to sign Mason Mount and everybody else, go and sign the fucking top right back to play right back and put Trent in there, because Trent will score 10 goals from midfield, and Trent will have 15 assists a season still from central midfield. So just play him central midfield. Don't try and be all clever and make this genius stuff, which it will cost you, lads. You know, I'm not going. You know, we're not trying to.
Players can't be in two places at once, can they? They literally can't.
Expect. And then people are going to be going, but he can't defend, can he? Well, no, he can't fucking defend, because he's just put a ball in the box, and now you want him to sprint back and stop the left winger from getting in and scoring goals. You can't do that. So if you want to do that, Liverpool, go and sign a really top draw right back to play right back, and you've probably got a 70, 80 million pound centre midfield player in the making in Trent, and that's one position covered. And then you just go and, you know, fill the rest with quality, hopefully. But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Jimbo, I want to finish off with Liverpool before we move on to the next topic. I want to talk to you about Klopp, right? Because there's been a lot in the news about his issues with Paul Tierney, the referee. He obviously let that bubble over recently, well documented, called into question, I would say, the integrity of the referee potentially. Screamed in the fourth official's face when we scored. All in all, I just don't think it's a great look, generally speaking, to be honest. What have you made of the whole situation? And it looks like the FA are going to throw the book at Klopp, and he's got a bit of a ban coming his way. Just what you make of the whole situation?
I think he's lost it a little bit, to be honest with you, mate. I really do think he's lost it. I think he's looking at excuses. I think he's looking to take impact away from the players. You know, Sam Allardyce has come into Leeds and done exactly that by trying to compare himself to Klopp and Pep. He knew what he was doing. You know, it takes away the emphasis away.
I'll come back to him. He's on my list for later on.
You know, he knows what he's doing to take the emphasis away from the players. Klopp, the celebrate, you know, getting in the fourth official, that's bang out of order, regardless of what it is. He knows what he's doing, and you're doing that just to be a knob, basically. I don't know. The FA have reviewed the footage or the audio footage of what Tierney. The issue you've got is Paul Tierney is viewed as the top ref, right? He's viewed as one of the top refs. So if you're one of the top refs, you're going to get the big games, which is 9 out of 10 times Liverpool, whether that's Liverpool, City, United. So he's going to ref more games. Now you can start looking into it any way, shape, and form you want. Should this have been a pen? Should that have been a pen? And then you can really start getting, you know, deep diving into things that should have gone your way. But let's have it right. Jota should have been sent off, right, in that game. There's a clear red card. And I know people will say the Haaland red card, but that's a red card.
I'm going to say Dermot Gallagher as well, the absolute spoon.
Yeah, it's right. And Dermot Gallagher, whatever, put that on the next conspiracy theory. My point is, you don't bring these things up, do you? It's never the things that go your way. It's always the things that don't go your way. And then you start building your own case around it. So I think there's probably, you know, there's issues. There's issues with every referee. There's refs aren't good. We've said that, whether it's Tierney, Oliver, all of them aren't good at the moment. So you could start building cases. But you can't go around acting like that. And, you know, we said it with the Mitrovic ban. I think he needs to. I think he does need to have a punishment. What that is, I don't know. But he'll just use it to galvanise the players and try and push for that top four. So, yeah, I think he's taking it, you know, slightly too far. But he's feeling pressure at the moment that he's probably not felt in his 3 or 4 years previous.
My issue, Tank, is, and I agree with Jim in that I think he's taking it too far, but there's also another side to this. The lack of accountability from fundamentally woeful officials here. It's one thing asking for managers, players, coaches to respect them. And I absolutely agree. We have to set a better example. These things filter down to kids' football. It's an awful look. But you know what is also an awful look? The gross incompetence across the board from the officials this season. So how about a little bit more accountability when they cock up? And we're all humans. We all make mistakes. Hold your hand up and go, yeah, that wasn't my finest hour. This is what I thought. On reflection, maybe could have done it differently. We learn, we get better, we move on. No one can argue with that. We all cock up all the time. But there's a lack of accountability, and these mistakes keep happening and happening and happening, and nothing gets said. Referees' jobs are on the line. Teams staying in leagues are on the line. Top fours are on the line. These things have to go hand in hand, surely. It's, yes, more respect. Throw the book of Klopp if you want, but also the referees have got to be better. Some of the decisions this season have been beyond belief.
But you've just said something there which is actually not true, because the only thing what's not on the line is the referees' jobs. Because they're that fucking bad that all they get is a little slap on the wrist and say, just have the weekend off, mate. Go take the wife away for the weekend. No game for you this weekend. Back next weekend, all good. We have got the most global, phenomenal sport in the world in the Premier League. There's no debating about that. So what needs to happen is every single official should be sacked and diminished from the job instantly. And the Premier League, as a global phenomenon, goes round to the...
He's sacking everyone again. He's sacking everyone again.
I'm telling you, because it's becoming that bad now. So every official in this country, including that fucking strap-on Howard Webb who just took over, they all need sacking, fucked off, because they're no good at the job. They're incompetent. And listen, you can't keep making the same mistake week in, week out, week in, week out. They protect their own. So they've said, we've listened to the footage of what was said to Jurgen Klopp, and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Let's hear it. Put it to the public domain. If there's nothing wrong with it, let's see. And then everyone can go, Klopp, you're a cunt, you need ban him 5 games. But they won't, will they? They won't release it. They're just saying, it's okay, we've heard it. It's come to the stage now, because as you said, Jamie, top 4's at stake, titles are at stake, relegations at stake, European place at stake. The difference between finish 15th and, say, 8th might be 3 points, but it's about 20 million quid. And these incompetent fucking idiots are not fit to run the game. And that's just the fact. Somebody explained to me how that wasn't a penalty for West Ham yesterday. It's like his arm's there and he's put his arm there to stop the ball. Every man and his dog. Rio Ferdinand, who's fucking played 400 years for Man U, is like the most biased person ever come across. It's like, it's a blatant penalty. You know, what are they looking at? It's a blatant penalty. Even the goal what got disallowed for West Ham, he's actually, Man U players pushed him in and he's literally stroked De Gea's arm and he's threw himself on the floor and he's not give the goal. These mistakes could have cost West Ham that victory and could have cost them their status in the Premier League. So the whole refereeing system in this country needs fucking off, binning, ripped up and getting proper people who can do the job to do it.
Jimbo, I want to come to you on something that I've seen. We know we like Simon Jordan on this podcast, or we certainly like that he doesn't sit. And I know you shake your head there, Jim, but
I was going to say sometimes he's all right.
But I think I like him as a broadcaster because he'll get a reaction out of you one way or another, and I think that's good. He's not afraid to give an opinion. I think we're filled with pundits these days who are too scared to give an opinion, and it's refreshing to see someone who won't shirk the big topics and something that he raised this week. And I wanted to get your opinion first as an attacker, and then Tanks as a defender. He was talking about Haaland's goal record, which is unbelievable. Excuse me. Haaland's obviously broken the goal record now. He's been an absolute... It's like he's built in a lab, let's be honest. But what he was talking about, he was adding some context behind it. And he was talking about basically the Manchester City create a lot of chances compared to the likes of Shearer. Let's say at Newcastle, he wouldn't have had maybe as much of the ball or as much opportunity to score. Also, the elements of defenders nowadays not being able to defend or tackle anymore. Excuse me. Does he have a point there? Does modern football favour attackers compared to back in the day?
Probably. At the moment, yeah, but it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You can then start going to, if you really want to go into, you talk around boots and balls, but then you can start looking at Pele's records and all this sort of stuff. So everything will always get better. The game will always evolve around something, and the game's evolved to be more attacking minded. But to disservice defenders just going, yeah, they can't defend anymore, it's all rubbish, it's
I think he probably meant not in terms of quality, maybe because of lack of contact. Like, you can't tackle,
maybe lack of
there's no
contact.
physicality now.
But then you'll be surprised. There probably isn't no physicality now, but you'd probably be surprised in how many defenders would actually, gone are the days of the old centre-back, kick it and head it, put your fucking face in it, lose your teeth. Them days are long gone. It's not what football is, and I wouldn't want them days to return. So I'm glad that it's not like that. And I'm, we've had some world-class players in the Premier League, world class. We're talking Shevchenko, Crespo, Samuel Eto'o, granted towards the end of their careers, Aguero, Suarez, and not one of them have got anywhere near these records of Shearer, Andy Cole, for the goal scored in the season. So regardless of what it is, it's a phenomenal feat in actually getting anywhere near it. And it just feels like he's just trying to downplay it because it's some. I do like Simon Jordan, but I do often find him in the Piers Morgan camps where if you say the sky's blue, he'll argue that it's turquoise or green or something along them lines. He says it just to do it. Don't get me wrong, Shearer was unbelievable, but what you've also got is in that Newcastle team, I can guarantee you the tactics were get the ball to Shearer. Because he's our best player and he will score regardless. Get the ball out wide, put it into Shearer. Shearer, you stay there. I don't want you running around. I don't want you pressing. I don't want you shackling. I don't want you doing anything. Stay in the middle, head the ball and score goals. That is his remit. Haaland has to press. He has to defend. He has to create. He has to do all that sort of stuff. So, to say that it's not as meaningful because it's modern football is quite disrespectful, I think, to Haaland. But it's also quite disrespectful to the previous because what they did was unbelievable. Anyone getting 35 goals a season is unbelievable, regardless if it's in the 20s when they're all smoking 50 fags at half time, whether it's in the 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter. Just like football for what it is. It doesn't always have to be comparable, whether he's got 85 legs and that's why he's beat the 35 goals. Just enjoy it for what it is.
What about you, Tank?
Totally disagree with what Jimmy said. And here's why. And I brought this up when I was working at Burnley Academy as the under-16s coach, right? Because gone are the days where and you lads will have your kids are in academies, and the older they go, you'll realise this. There's not one single syllabus or fucking session whatsoever aimed at defenders defending, right? We used to have the syllabus at Burnley, so we'd have blocks of 6. So the first block, so week 1, playing out from the back. Week 2, playing through the wide areas. Week 3, playing through the midfield lines. Week 4, pressing from the front. So we got these, and I'm like that, and I'm going, okay. What about the defenders? What about the defenders doing one-on-ones? Because when I was playing, I used to get fucking torn into arsehole by Pat Nevin on fucking Prenton Park on a Tuesday and a Thursday, one-on-one defending. 30 minutes, Pat Nevin running at me, ping the ball out to Pat, run a tank, fucking make him look a fucking idiot. And it made me a better defender.
Yeah.
I guarantee you now there is not one academy in the world what says the back 4, get out with me, 6, 4 attackers, 2 midfielders, bombard them, get at them, learn them to defend, learn them to one-on-one. I guarantee you now, as long as I've got a fucking hole in my arse, Haaland would not get a fucking kick against Sol Campbell and Tony Adams as a centre-half pair. Not a fucking kick. Sol Campbell would fucking keep up with him, and Tony Adams would bully him everywhere. I'm telling you now, Shearer had to play against some of the best defenders in world football who were out-and-out defenders. Martin Keown, all of the likes of that. All of these centre-halves now are just nice, fluffy, playing out from the back defenders. Not one of them is in it where you could go, he is an unbelievable defender. Not one of them.
Do you think it's a dying art, Tank?
It's a complete dying art, and it's a dying art because we don't coach it. We don't
coach it. I give you that. Archie does a lot of 1v1.
You look at the centre half. You look at exchange with goalkeepers. A goalkeeper now, it doesn't matter if you pull saves out of the top corner. It doesn't matter. What's he like with his feet? Well, if he keeps the ball out of the net. No, but what's he like with his feet? What the fuck's that all about? Save the ball.
Well, Gary Neville made this point when, if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's like, what are they doing with him in the week to make him better?
I don't know how. I'm just thinking
in these 1v1 situations, because he's like Jim. Just before you jump in, there's an art to the 1v1. Do you know what I mean? And so much focus and highlights has been put on Trent, who, like what Tank said before, wasn't an actual right back. He was a midfielder. How much time, one-on-one time, boots on the grass type stuff has been given to him to make him better at that stuff. I agree with Tank in that it does feel, Jim, like so much focus is putting on what are you doing on the ball. Whereas for me, the way I was brought up and the way I played, some of the best players I played with were unbelievable off the ball. They had a brilliant game and they might not have even touched the ball that much, but they stopped particular balls getting into particular people. They dominated space. They dominated the people that they were up against. That, for me, is the art of defending in large parts. How do you win your physical battle? But it's not there anymore.
It's gone because there's no syllabus to do it. There's no thought process. Every single coach in the world now, not one of them sit there and go, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll work the back four today. We'll get we'll get them shuffling across.
The keep it going. Keep it work by when it's on one side, shuffle. Don't they? Surely, if you're setting up to work the attackers, so you're saying that you do you set up plays of Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, whatever, Grealish. Back four, they get worked by working the attackers. They have to defend. So we do it now. So you take my lads training. They do 1v1s all the time, and then they do 2v1s, and then they do 2v2s, and then they do 3v2s and 3v3s, and they do it. You score, another player comes on, and they do that a lot. I'm just thinking out loud, how do you teach someone to tackle? I think it's just naturally there.
I was a centre forward and got moved to left wing when I was a kid.
I get that. I understand that.
My defensive
positioning. I know it's positioning and that.
But so you coach it, you learn it. Twice a week I used to do it, and I used to get learning. I'd have Ronnie Moore, the coach, and Johnny King. My defending wasn't the best, and then I'm not being funny, mate. In the peak of my career, I'd go 1-on-1 against any winger, and you will not get past me. No chance. If I'm on my game, you don't get past me. That wasn't born in me. That was drilled in me. Because you've got an international winger at the time like Pat Nevin, who was a fucking nightmare with step overs, cutbacks, the fucking lot, go to cross it. He wouldn't cross it. You're like, just cross it, you cunt. And he wouldn't. And I used to get drummed for 30 minutes every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. Looking back then, I absolutely hated it. Looking back now, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And then Johnny King would be screaming again. Ronnie Moore pinged the ball to Pat Nevin. I had to stand 10 yards. He'd run at me, dribble at me, through the cones, and I'd have to stop it. I'd have to stop Pat, force him back, or tackle him, or block across.
But I think that still happens. I think it still happens. But it's not aimed at the defender. It's aimed at the attacker. But you as a defender should be stopping the ball, surely.
How? When you're not coaching?
I just don't think Trent can defend, no matter how much you teach him.
This is not a Trent argument. This is a defence argument.
Okay, I'm just talking in general. I don't think people aren't built to be defenders anymore. Everyone wants to be a striker. No one has. The issue
but that's what Tank's saying, though, Jim. Isn't
it?
I
get it. But again, my point is,
you've got to build these people.
You can't build people to be defended. Most defenders start as attackers and work their way back. You just said it yourself. So
Jimmy, we coach front men to make runs off the shoulder, to pull off the defenders
and whatnot.
So we need to be coaching defenders to defend the front man. What's the front man going to do? Well, he's going to pull off his shoulder. When you drop off and you see him, open your body up and see him. We don't do it. Everything in
like
football
Haaland's
is
just
playing off from the back to play forward through the attacking zones. Nothing's about defensive structure.
Simon Jordan, and you're acting like Haaland's just running in straight lines, and it should be easy just to say, right, I'm sticking here and I'm marking this man because this is what they're used to doing. This
no
is what
one said that, Jimmy. No
one
said
it is. I'm saying
Haaland's coach to make runs. You're missing the point here, mate. I'm
not. I get what you're saying.
We're not coaching defenders to be defenders and defend better and show. We'll show. say for instance, Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, he'll show how to beat Real Madrid, the runs to make, the high line, whatever they've done. I guarantee you they won't say, like, this is how we're going to defend.
If you're thinking that any Premier League club is just going, right, lads, for the next 9 months, all we're going to train is attacking, surely, like, someone's going, hang on, Gaffer, like, any chance? The whole thing will be set up to work whatever it is position you're playing. So if you're doing certain things, the training session will be aimed for defenders to get. No way is Pep just setting up things to go, right, Mahrez, Haaland, Grealish, this is all about you for the next 12 weeks. That's sure. At younger age, I understand it probably needs to be it needs to be taught more, sorry. Whereas when you get to that age, you can't just then go, right, we're going to work on defending now, and I just want you to boot ball. The attackers will go off with the attacking coach, defenders will go off with a defence coach or whatever coach that is that's assigned to that role. I've been around football
for the past 5 years and I've never seen a defensive coach take
a back. At what level, though? I'm talking first team level.
I'm talking first team level. The only person I've seen do it is Sean Dyche.
You're saying a coach doesn't take him away and go, we're going to go work on defending. But, oh, by the way, lads, we're going to do an hour and a half on throwing, but we're just going to fucking leave defending for the next 6 months. Don't worry about it.
All of the phases of play, what I've seen from most first teams, and it's got nothing to do with defending. All they're asked about is playing out from the back. So the keeper to get it to the centre halves, and it's like, can you get out?
But the transition, if you're playing out from the back, you play it up, you lose the ball, you've got to defend. Surely, if you're playing out from the back, you play it up. They'll have people up there. They'll get the ball, and then you've got to then defend your box. You've got to defend your goal.
Because Jimmy, it's not how first.
Not just going to give you the ball back, are they? I'd be very surprised if you do.
As soon as you lose the ball, it starts again. Keeper's ball back. Out you go from the back. Jimmy, it's
progression.
It's in front of you. Every single game of football you watch, it's in front of you because the standard of defending is absolutely horrendous. I look at some of the stuff what Van Dijk's doing now, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Some of the stuff Van Dijk has done this season has left me absolutely bewildered how he was even mentioned in one of the greatest defenders to play the game. And that's not slagging the lad off, because I do think his confidence has gone, and that has a huge effect on it. But some of the stuff I see Virgil van Dijk do, I'm like, that's like schoolboy stuff. Like the ball, I know it was a good ball from Ivan Toney the other day into Van Dijk, but Van Dijk turned like a fucking slug and was running on. And one stage I thought he's going to push him. I'm guaranteeing you now that no back four works gets done on. I'm talking proper defending here. I'm not talking about like just fucking little shitty phases of play. I'm talking about when I was at Forest with Dave Bassett, we would have massive overloads and we would get pelted. We used to come off the training pitch absolutely blowing out of our arse, nearly collapsing, because we'd have 6v4. And you'd have 4 attackers, and you'd have 2 midfielders. You'd have Harry standing in the halfway line. You put it into midfielders, and the game's live. And we're 6v4. The only time we'd get a break is if we won the ball, edited it out for a throw-in, and then you go back, shape, bang, again. Repetitive defending, repetitive, shuffling the cross, moving in the lines, keeping the front men up, playing a high line, dropping off when the ball is. None of that gets done in football no more. None. Not whatsoever.
I'm delighted I brought that topic up. That worked absolutely perfectly. Thanks for that one, lads. By the way, Tank, Ivan Toney doesn't get spoken about enough. What a player he is. What a player.
Jimmy, Ivan Toney or Harry Kane, right at this moment for Man U, because you're a Man U fan, I think. Ivan Toney, for me...
I don't know. How old's Ivan Toney? What are the ages?
I'll take
Tony all day. I'll take Tony all day.
Mate, he has the lot, like ability to occupy
I'd take Osimhen over both of them, though.
No chance.
I loved, honestly, I was watching Tony there at the weekend and I was like, he can mix it. He's got quality, his first touch, ability to bring people in, arrogance, technically brilliant. Oh, he's a serious football. So serious footballer. Okay, last couple of things to finish off on, right? Tank, what a game for Forest we have lined up. Like this, if there was ever a must win, surely this is it.
Yeah, it's already done, though, mate. 2-0, leave one.
You think?
Yeah,
Mystic Meg got a ball out there.
I think at the City grounds, with the fans are going to be fucking right up for it. If they get, I've got a feeling it's going to be a fucking nice night tonight for Forest. I really do. I think it's going to be, a nice little 2-0 victory. Because look, I'm not being funny. You've said this on the podcast before. Forest are actually not in bad form. They're actually playing quite well. They went to Anfield, done really well. I mean, Brentford are a tough side. Not many teams go to Brentford and get a result for them. They're like, I know they got beat, but they're 4 minutes away from an amazing result. You know, I just think before that they won there. I can't remember if they beat someone at home, didn't they? They had won the home game. I think Forest are going to be okay.
It's fine lines in football, isn't it? At the moment, they're falling the other side of those fine lines. I want to finish on my favourite, the topics, the questions that we get from listeners that are non-football related, right? And Johnny always delivers with the cracking questions, right? Jim had a bit of a sneak peek on this one, so I'll come to Jim first so Tank can have a minute to think.
Slippery bastard.
So the question Johnny asks is, if we had to describe each other as animals, what would you choose? Think of each other's traits and try to be kind. So the be kind bit isn't going to work.
I've tried and I've not done it. So.
Yeah, I did the same. So
I've got Jimmy on my phone.
Who was that? Absolute lizard.
Jimmy the lizard.
Jimmy the lizard. Jimbo, go on.
Look, he's Googling for something.
I'm not. So mine are, for you, Homo, I've gone lion.
Oh, I'll take that. I don't even care of the context. I'm just happy.
Hot-headed.
Okay.
Fierce. I've put you down as loyal as well.
Oh,
so
go ahead, Jim. Love that.
Mine's not loyal. Yeah. At least it's own son if it's hungry.
Give you that, lad. Right. For
I'll
Tank.
take it. Go on.
I've gone sloth. Physically slow. Mentally slow. Ugly. Probably stinks.
Hang on a minute. Listen, that's one thing you can't call anyone.
Probably stinks. Not cut his toenails and fingernails for years. Can't cross the road in less than 10 minutes.
Stuck to the brief there, then, Jim. Love it, lad. I wouldn't want anything different. Tag, do you want to go next?
No, you've put me on the spot here.
I had for you. So it wasn't as nice as yours, actually. So I feel bad now.
Nice, to be fair.
You're not usually nice to me.
Got enough negativity in my life with Tank, so I've got nice.
I'll take that. But I actually did put though. So I said a cat, right? Huh? And the reason that I said a cat,
I'll take a cat
because he's a little pussy.
It's actually what I typed in my notes there. So reliable, cats always come back. So I had reliable. You'll always come back. You like to go to bed early, and you're a bit stroppy. Is that fair?
Pretty fair, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice one. And then Tank, I actually put hot-headed as well. So hot-headed, heart of gold, but terrible with names. And I was like, what type of animal could that possibly be? So I was like, okay, yeah. Didn't really think this. So I went with a gorilla because I feel like a gorilla comes in. Tank gets a bit mad, whacks his chest for a bit, but then we'll chill out and be dead sound. Is that a fair point?
I'll accept that.
Yeah.
I think the sloth is more apt, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, but that was a cracking question, right, lads? That's enough from us. I tell you what, I enjoyed that. We won't have a week off again because it's been good to get back together. I think actually, when are we going to be? We could do Friday, could we? We try and do Friday live show.
Got no training in.
Oh, can't. Mum's over. Sorry, lads.
Get her on with us.
Get Mrs. Murph on.
Oh, yeah, do you reckon? Guest appearance.
Tom hates me, so he'll fit in right with Tank.
Yeah, lads, listen, here's a quick one. Just for my own fucking thoughts here. Man City didn't even know it was on the other day. Why was that on Saturday 3:00? It's never happened before. Was there a reason?
What do you mean, the game?
It was live on Sky.
On telly?
Oh, did they lift the 3 p.m. ban?
What channel was it on?
On Sky Sports. My dad rang me and said, "Are you watching a match?" I went, "No, there's no match on. It's on Liverpool are on later." He went, "No, Man City are on Leeds now." I was like, "What?" So I turned Sky in and it was on.
Was it?
They've lifted the blackout now. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lads, it's a pleasure as always. Let's do that. Let's do this again soon. Everybody that's listening, thank you all for your support and pulling us up on the fact that we did not record a podcast last week and give it out.
Not my fault, by the way.
Whose fault was it? I can't even remember.
Tank's.
Why?
No, I think it was mine because Josh was away at that tournament.
All-round knobhead. That's why. Everyone hates him.
No, I think it was my fault. I was away in Belfast, wasn't I? So
you were out.
Who was out? Me. It was my fault.
Tournament.
Yeah, it was me. I was up in Belfast, wasn't I?
Yeah. And then we tried to do Tuesday, and Tank couldn't do that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here now. We're all back together, and we won't be going anywhere. So, right, with that, I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. I hope you all enjoy your week, more importantly. And do us a favor, if you haven't already, follow us on social media. Send the podcast to a friend for them to enjoy. Leave us a rating and review, or subscribe on YouTube. One of those or all of those would be fantastic and massively help the podcast. So, most importantly, as I said, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back with you again soon on the Boot Room Podcast. All the best.
Lads.
Cheers, boys.